Anyway, stay safe. Stop killing each other. Keep your arse at home. They're the three valid points. Alright, safe.
Right, so what you doing? I can't go to my mum's, yeah? Give me the good what am I you did? Come off the bus, bro. Come outside to my mum's, yeah? Get the bus.
Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Now there's something to be said about the world when people cannot appreciate when a doting father puts his life on the line to protect his teenage son from a complete waste of space of a man who obviously had a few screws loose. I mean, what degree of bonkers do you have to be to think it's appropriate and it's recommended for the fully grown adult to engage in a fully blown argument with a teenager to the point that it escalates so much that the child has to phone their dad for backup, because that's how vulnerable and afraid they feel. The victim, named locally as Tunde Fadayomi, came to his son's defence and made his way to the London bus in Willesden Green, northwest London, just before 5 p.m. because his son had called him, and because of that he got caught up in an altercation after it was rumoured that the would-be murderer had threatened his son. Now, as a father, any person threatening your child would make your blood boil, but it exasperates tenfold when you find out it's an adult trying to threaten your kid. Again, this is a dad that received a phone call from his frightened son, and he did what any loving parent would do. He went to the location and confronted the scumbag, and for all his troubles, he was stabbed to death while a bunch of cowardice eyewitnesses just recorded the incident, bar 2 or 3. In other words, they have the murder taking place on social media and iCloud for the entire world to see, share and swap and comment on. The Metropolitan Police has said that the unnamed man arrested on suspicion of murder is a 42 years old and was arrested at his home in Willesden, North London, and no one else is wanted in connection with the callous murder of a single father and football coach who was considered a pillar of the community, and nobody would ever say a bad thing or bad word against him. And he was, according to witnesses, threatening a teenager whom is believed to be 14 years old. That's an age gap of 28 years. That's almost a generational age gap. When you're in your 40s, you're supposed to be mature enough to shrug off small inconveniences, like children being too loud or playing music on a bus. But of course, the suspected murderer cannot be classed as normal by any means. I mean, no person in their right mind would pull out a knife and stab another human being in the entranceway of a takeaway while Jack, Laura, Amy and Adiola were recording the incidents. You have to be a lunatic or a maniac that needs to be committed or sectioned. The mere fact that as a big man you're carrying a knife automatically classifies you as a piece of SHIT, and I know a lot of people would argue the fact that some teenagers think that they're grown or act as an instigator or whatever, but in this case I'll refute the BS because of one simple reason. When a teenager phones their dad, it usually implies that the kid is afraid and they are not looking for a confrontation. If anything, they're trying to do the opposite. They're actually trying to de-escalate the situation. You cannot do badness in front of your parents. You do that discreetly, away from prying eyes, so it does not make sense. Really, I wish this was a cruel and twisted joke. I mean, too many people are dying on our streets. So once again, the victim, named locally as Tunde Fadayomi, who was a single father and a football coach, made his way to the double-decker bus after receiving a frightened phone call from his 14-year-old son and proceeded to confront the man that was threatening his kid. The argument escalated, with both adults getting off the bus, and then moments later, Tunde is knifed in the entranceway of a takeaway in front of screaming onlookers on the busy high street. His son was forced to witness his dad dying like a slaughtered animal, and all the son could do was scream, "No, no, no, please someone call an ambulance," in disbelief as the attack took place. The only people that tried to prevent the murder was the 2 teenage boys and his son. To be fair though, a junior doctor and a dental nurse quickly rushed over after the attack took place and performed CPR, but the dad died at the scene of the crime a little after 5 p.m, leaving his only son shaking and trying to call his mom to let her know what had happened. Witnesses says that the son was literally pacing up and down the street in disbelief, shaking and crying and getting angry. His emotions were all over the place and he could not believe what had happened. Think of it as like a total shutdown in your system. Of course, he was distraught. All I can say is condolences to the boy's family, and people stay safe. Safe.